Welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good, the podcast where we open up the space to have conversations about trends and campaigns at the intersection of marketing, advertising, and impact.
Hi, I'm Alana Ficalora.
Hey, I'm Steph Belsky.
We're social impact strategists, colleagues, and friends who are on a mission to revolutionize the industry we love.
Today, there's a lot of virtue signaling, greenwashing, cause washing, or companies saying nothing out of fear of getting it wrong.
Whether it's a moment or a movement, it still has to be real. It has to be authentic and aligned with the brand, not just performative. It's about the action being taken that goes along with the messaging.
So we're here to highlight who's doing it well, what could be better, and how companies can stop leaving money and the potential for real social change on the table.
We have our first duo on the pod today. Our guests today on Creative Conversations are the wonderful duo Shawn and Sarah.
Shawn Bohigian and Sarah Strauss are strategists and co-founders of Shawn and Sarah, based in California. Friends since college and collaborating for decades, these two creative bananas are nerdy for research, purpose finding, and juicy ideas. I love you two so much. Passions in common include dogs, art, lols, and cozy sweatshirts.
I love that you just said lols instead of LOLs. Welcome to Missed Opportunities for Good, Shawn and Sarah. We're excited to have you on today.
We're psyched to be here. Also, I think when we wrote that bio, I don't think I realized someone was going to be reading it out loud.
Which makes it so good. Much better. Welcome, amazing. Creative Bananas.
Thank you.
We're so happy you're here.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us.
I'm now only ever calling you both Creative Bananas. Wow.
That's what we are.
Let's get to know you a bit better beyond that.
Thank you for having us. We're out. That's all we need.
Deuces. Mic drop. If you want to each take a turn telling us, and whoever wants to go first, why do you do what you do without saying what you do? So what's your purpose that drives you?
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Why do we do what we do? I think the place that I personally come from, without saying the work that we do, I come from a place of wanting all human beings to be able to achieve their potential and acknowledging that there are so many obstacles to so many people being able to do that. And those obstacles are just they come from so many different directions. And so, gosh, it's hard to say it without talking about what we do, but
like what drives you to your work is really, I guess, the
people.
Of the question.
Helping people, finding fairness, finding equity, giving a hand to people who need it, and making things feel better for everyone. Because I think that stuff doesn't feel good for a lot of people, whether they're aware of it or not. You know, some are more aware than others, but I think that there's just a lot of work to be done in terms of individuals being able to achieve their own personal potential, and then us as society, or let's say like quote unquote global community, being able to achieve something greater. There's a lot standing in our way. So I think like kind of eliminating obstacles, helping people be better, feel better, is what drives me personally.
I love
snaps.
I think the answer to your question for me is that I love ideas. I love ideas, and I love the way ideas actually do the work of helping people think and feel and do things a little differently. And culture shifting ever so slightly is something that I've always been like deeply intrigued by. And brand work, among other fields and works, I think is responsible for culture shifting at scale. Mm-hmm. So I've always just been deeply inclined to understand how that works and the types of ideas and things that, I don't know, start to move people toward things, new ideas, new ways of feeling, new ways of being. So yeah, I would say a love of ideas is probably what I'm mostly driven by.
I love identifying problems.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Yeah. And then Shawn's like, that's an idea to solve that problem. That's an idea to solve that problem. And that's an idea to solve that problem.
And the way that I think that the way that problems and solutions or problems and ideas complement each other is like when you understand the problem and when you understand the people, you have insight into what it is that's happening and insight into how things could be different and how to encourage an audience of individuals or of many or of a ton of people to open their minds, open their hearts, maybe even change the way they act. That's a lot to ask. And there are so many forms of, I think, culture that do the job of helping people along their growing and changing journeys. And what's really weird, it's so weird, but like brands are part of that cultural fabric.
I'm not supposed to talk about what we do.
Well, the word brand is a lot.
Yeah, that's fine.
Like,
it's fine.
The vocab word brand is
kosher.
But yeah, no, it's totally true though.
They do a job in culture. It's strange that we live in a very commercial, consumption oriented, capital world, but those are tools that we have to ask people to connect over. So I think we both problem, solutions, ideas.
I like it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, along similar lines of your problem, solutions, and ideas, what first drew you both to doing work in the impact space?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
I come from an advertising background, which I was always like very intrigued by mass communication and creativity and all those things. And I started out in this industry kind of keen on just like getting in there and learning the trade. But at some point at some point down that road, you start to feel almost a little gross about what it is that you do because you're just asking people to buy things and being really clever.
Oh, really?
You get people to buy things, which is a really interesting set of skills to have. But I think in terms of what that's doing to the world we live in, it starts to feel a little icky. And I was starting to have like a light identity crisis. Yeah. Like how
as you do,
like what am I doing? Like, what am I really doing? But then at some point I was at an agency called Media Arts Lab, which is quite smart. And there was sort of a group of people at that agency. This was years ago. There were a group of people in there who were applying all of the skills and methodologies of, say, what you do in brand work at scale toward not selling things, but solving problems, sort of asking, I want to say like applying all the same skills that you would to getting a product in the market to like sort of getting people to care more about causes and issues. So all of a sudden, like all the skills that I had applied toward impact first work, like purpose work, as it was starting to emerge, started to make me feel like I was absolutely on the right track. So it was like a moment in my industry where it was like emerging that purpose work was happening and impact became significant. How are brands becoming more responsible? What are we doing to help with the resources and the platforms and the tools that we have as massive organizations? And it all clicked. That's like when my career started to click for me. And I was like, okay, there's a reason why I learned how to do all of this shit.
And wait, Shawn, just for context, what year was that?
That was like 2000.
1980. No,
it was like 2014, 15. And there was Media Arts Lab is an agency that serves Apple primarily. And there was a group of people at Media Arts Lab that were starting to collaborate on issues and causes, because as you know, it's also a very competitive space to get people to care about issues and causes. That too is a very sort of competitive world. So how do you cut through and say, please care about this? And that team at that agency ended up becoming a group called Mal for Good. And as I'm sure you've noticed, so many agencies now have these sort of purpose-focused arms. So this for me was like sort of where I learned that this was happening and that this was something all these like brilliant, creative, smart people were so thirsty for, because everyone like, you can't not relate to the idea that like it's a little icky that we're just selling stuff. So as impact became more of an industrial thing, I felt like I was sort of a part of that early with some really smart people. And that's kind of how I decided to deeply focus all of my efforts toward initiatives like those.
That's awesome. Yeah. Is Mal for Good still around?
I think so. I'm not.
I was just curious. I remember that was one of the first agencies that I saw that kind of had that impact arm.
Yeah. There was a team, because Lee Clow's a legend in the creative industry, kind of like a godfather of advertising, and he was still pretty active and sort of passionate about this. And it started out as something called Audience Behavior Lab, and then it became Mal for Good. And there were some really brilliant, beautiful clients that we were able to do some really, it's like doing impact work at scale early was something that I was able to participate in there. And once your eyes are open to that kind of work, it's really hard to turn back, because like 100%. How can you go back to selling like something that doesn't really matter? You know,
totally
doing work that feels like it doesn't matter, when you're aware, when you gain that awareness of what matters and what doesn't. And of course there's a subjective spin that you can put on that, but once you've done something that matters, it's really hard to do something that doesn't matter. And mattering takes so many different forms. You know, mattering can just be, you know, you're delivering a message that makes people feel joy, or, you know, it doesn't all have to be, I mean, ideally, yes, we're like also saving the world, but like sometimes you just want people to feel good in their own skin for 5 minutes, you know, and that can matter too.
Yeah.
And just also not working with like shitty companies that are doing bad things also matters.
100%.
So I don't know. I'm trying, as Shawn's talking, like I'm trying to think of what turned me on to impact. And it's like, I don't think I ever really thought about it in terms of impact. That term is, you know, it's thrown around a lot. And I don't know if I ever was like, impact, yes, me, you know. It was more, and I always come back to this place of what feels right and what feels fair and what might help people feel better. I think so. I went back and got my master's in social science a couple years ago at UCLA, and I actually social science is cool because you're examining things through like a broader social lens. So social interactions, you're evaluating a number of different kind of perspectives on those social interactions. But actually what I really wanted to study and still have a deep interest in is social psychology. So understanding the influences that people are subjected to on a daily basis and forever, and what society tells you to be and how, and the institutions that exist and the stories that come out of those institutions, and how basically it's like the Yuval Harari thing, right? Where it's like life is just a series of stories. We're just like, it's just a series of stories. And I think I started to recognize in my personal life and then in the lives of the people around me, and I think I've actually been doing this since I was a really young kid, but not necessarily calling it this, was just like, no, like that story's not helping anyone. Like maybe we can just change that story a little bit. And I think the most important part of the impact space for me, or what turns me on to impact, is the idea that a lot of that impact comes from changing the way that people think about something, like knocking down something that's not working for everyone or for a specific group of people, and building something that does work for them, that helps them, that helps their life, enriches their lives on a daily basis and in the long term, right? And that is so many different areas of impact. It's everything is a story. So I think what turned me on to quote impact work is the idea that a big part of it is putting new stories out there and seeing how you can shift things,
rewrite the
narrative, especially for people who are really, I mean, we're all suffering in our own ways. Everyone's suffering in their own ways. Some people have more optimistic characters, and so they don't necessarily focus on their suffering as much. But humanity is not excelling, despite our longevity going up or whatever, and the blue zone.
Doesn't mean people are happy. Yeah.
Otherwise, the work that's coming out right now wouldn't need to come out. I feel like we're fighting against years and years of telling ourselves the wrong stories. And now it's like, oh, wait, no, rewind, reset. There's a lot of resetting. And maybe that's how it was always supposed to be, but now feels like a really beautiful time because there's an opportunity for new stories. And as much of a Luddite as I am, like, bless social media for allowing people to be heard and come together to be heard and demand that they are heard and
for better or worse
things for everyone else. So what'd you say?
For better or worse.
For better or worse. Yeah. Like some better, some worse. But like, I love the better. I love the better story. I love the better stories,
that there's more access to sharing stories and people being able to put more to have more voices out in the world and not just be bombarded by the same however many.
Theoretically, there's a democratization happening, which is why now it's like brands are just trying to keep up with what people on TikTok are saying. Yeah. Because that's where the stories are coming from. That's how we know what people are talking about. It's like, all right, get on TikTok and see what the kids are saying. They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. So this is like what feels relevant, or this is the direction that things are moving. I mean, listen, it's not all on TikTok, but there's a lot of shit happening in there.
Sarah, I love that too, because it kind of goes back to the idea of removing obstacles.
Yeah.
And creating more access by rewriting the narrative, by having that social psychology and cultural change. I don't know. Everything you two have just been saying, it's like, feels very much a part of your why and why y'all do what you do, which is just awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. It's when we're given the opportunity to write new stories and come up with new ideas, we're in our happy little place.
It's interesting too, because like so much of it is research and understanding.
Yeah.
And what's true is like any brief that crosses our desk is an opportunity. Sometimes it's like a bullseye. It'll be like, this is a serious issue. We're going to rethink the American public high school experience. And you're like, okay, bang on education and deep need and so cause forward. But then what's also true is like when given the opportunity to study anyone, like in any space, if you bring some integrity to that process, you can uncover very meaningful things about people. Like in any, like sometimes it's so cause, impact, purpose centered. And then sometimes it's a little peripheral. But if you're bringing like, say, I don't know, the way we like to work and the depth of care that we give to audiences who deserve care,
Yeah.
You can fall in love with any audience and want to serve any audience, like high integrity, brand thinking, communication, whatever, creativity, etc. It's like all people are fascinating. Sometimes we get like brief from a beauty brand and you're like, whatever. But then actually you get in there and you're like,
we're talking about people.
You're looking for like real insight anywhere, and you can always find it. And if you can bring that to the work, you can show up for any audience with, I think, some pretty thoughtful work. And there's not enough, I think, there's always a demand for more thoughtful work, but there's a lot of trash out there. So it's
totally, it's like you're finding the humanity in it.
It's like if you can give, you can give any brief a lot of care and come out of it with something really juicy. That might help a little.
I think integrity, we should switch out the word impact and plop in the word integrity. Just have everyone act and behave and think with integrity all the time, and then we don't need the word impact.
What's funny too is like we're not talking about like high integrity that like really is snobby and blah, blah. It's like
not pretentious.
It's like we get really stupid as well. Like we're really good at also being like
creative bananas,
goofy, stupid, and simple. And I think integrity can be funny. Integrity can be silly. Like integrity can
of course
in so many ways.
I think integrity just means caring and being honest. I don't know. There's like an ethic. To me, when I think of integrity, I go to an ethical place. I don't go to a pretentious place. I go to I don't, it's like
moral compass sort of place.
Yeah, it's a moral compass sort of place. And listen, like we can all have a debate about how my moral compass is not necessarily someone else's moral compass. And I'm open to having that debate. But, trying to do the right thing, doing the right thing
for people
should not be so hard.
Yes.
And it should be the easy thing. And it's not. And because of the way the world is designed, it's not easy for individuals and it's not easy for brands. But it should be, right? Like we should work to get to a place where doing the right thing is the easier. Whatever. I'm going on a tangent. Sorry. I'll stop.
We're being tangential.
Bye.
On that note, though, in this idea of doing the right thing and on a personal level, what issue area or areas or causes or nonprofits are you each most passionate about?
I go to an ecological planet place, biodiversity, like the deep need for, and I think of biodiversity on like a supernatural and natural level, but I also think of it almost like ecologically, humanitarily, like we all need each other. And so I go straight to the conservation earthy place at the core of my existence.
Shawn's a tree.
I'm a tree.
We need to keep our planet so we can live here. So I think this is very valid.
Absolutely.
And all encompassing in so many ways too.
It's too encompassing, but I think that that's where I play. And then Sarah, I think, has more of a we share this, but like a humanitarian.
I would say human rights, but really I would say women, anything that has anything. I mean, speaking of narratives and obstacles, it's like women, like anything that has to do with being a woman, living as a woman, no matter where you are, how you're being one, what you're being told, etc. I hate calling it women's rights because it's like, but that is what it is, I guess. I think it's endlessly fascinating. And there are so many different things to explore. We've done work with the Period Company and love that work, right? Just the relationships that women have with their own menstruation and their bodies and what they've been able to talk about and what they weren't able to talk about and what we're able to talk about now. So women, I would say human rights, but really women's rights.
Yeah. Have you seen, this is now I'm going to be the sidebar person.
Yeah.
Have you seen the Holiday demon Krampus takes bold stand against period poverty campaign.
We were just looking
It's
at
intense.
That's intense.
It's intense.
But like hard to look away. I was like, this is intense, but also kind of amazing.
And listen, I think
those vagina cookies should go out this holiday season.
Holiday gift from all of us.
I want all of the conversations to be had. I want all of the conversations to be had about the period. I want it all out there. I want it discussed the way that like beer is discussed. I want it out in culture because I am so sick of women having to hide everything all the time and be like cute about everything and have their cute little kit and like cute. It's like, fuck that. It's like, put it all out. Like I want it all out. And I think Public did that, right?
I think so. I read it last night and I've already
what did you
forgotten, but yes. I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah,
I was like, this is hilarious. And also, where is this actually getting shown? Because people should watch this.
Right. It needs to be like a Super Bowl commercial.
Totally. And then you also need that for menopause and you need that for giving birth and you need that for like every woman experience because
you need
there's so much of the female experience that's not discussed.
How wild is it that we're only just starting to have this conversation at this scale? Like, how is that? How is
well, we're also taking away abortion, so there's that.
Oh my God. So that's another conversation that we're having right now.
Yeah.
It's like the thing about the period is how it's this superpower that we have these bodies and these beautiful rhythms and these like discrete hidden things that we don't talk about. And the truth is like everyone, if it's a superpower, like we have it, the men in our lives benefit. It's this like flowing fertility, creative, gorgeous, healthy, abundant thing. And we're
that society couldn't exist without.
We're supposed to keep it a secret. And we're supposed to keep it a secret. It's like, I don't think so. So I think we're kind of in the work with the period company. You're having a really direct discussion about every audience of human out there that deserves to be included in that conversation. And how, because a lot of times we're programmed to say like not be having the conversation, but there are so many people who belong in the conversation. And how do you have that conversation with your brother? And how do you have that conversation with your dad? And how do you have that conversation with all the people in your life without it being weird at all? Because it's not weird at all, you know?
Yeah.
And that's like those are cultural cracks that are happening. And give it a few years and that period commercial's in the Super Bowl and it's no big D.
There's also a nonprofit that I want to introduce you guys to, Dignity Grows. I've done a lot of work with them.
Oh yeah. I would love that.
They're all about hygiene equity and they're a national nonprofit and they're doing some incredible work with these dignity totes, just being able to give out a month's supply of hygiene products for men, women, non-binary folks, and then also a full month supply of menstruation products too.
That's great.
It's incredible the work that they're doing and the work you're doing. So, all right, along those lines, we sort of already talked about it, but would love to hear a little bit more of an impactful project that you've worked on that you're most proud of. And maybe we'll dig into the period conversation a little bit more.
Unless there's something else you want to highlight. Fair game, whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we love the
Did
period
not mean
work.
that to be a leading conversation.
No, I mean, we love the period work because it's like it hits environmental issues, it hits women's issues, it's like it needs big ideas, it needs a rewrite, I think, and we actually know the founder very well, one of the founders, and so she's a brilliant creative mind, and so I think for so many reasons that work has been wonderful. And the work that they're doing, that they're putting out into the world is wonderful. I would say there's another, and Shawn mentioned it super briefly, but we didn't dig into it yet, is for the XQ Institute, which is a nonprofit. They're based in Oakland, actually, but their mission is to redefine public high school in
Oh, yes,
the United
I've
States.
heard of this.
So
amazing.
They are an organization of brilliant mission-driven individuals who last year had their first graduating cohort. And they're essentially developing, what they do is they go into different communities all around the United States. I don't remember how many schools there actually are. And these are public schools.
18 or more.
Yes, they go into communities where educational outcomes, student outcomes, et cetera, I should know the technical term for it, but I don't, are not what they should be. They evaluate what's happening by doing very in-depth research on the ground with students, with teachers, with parents, with communities, et cetera. And then they bring their developed model and adapt it to that community to give that community, that school or that school district, what it needs to improve outcomes for their students. And we were given access to a boatload of data and student interviews of kids coming out of the model, the first graduating cohort. And I mean, listening to the experiences that these kids would not have otherwise had to explore their passions, to connect with their communities, to learn skills that, I don't know, I think a lot of us acquire maybe later in life. I don't know, maybe that's a personal experience, but really, it's a project-based model, or at least it has been in some of the schools. So you're really, as a student, taking something and seeing it to the finish line. It's not based around memorization and quizzing and testing and whatever. It's like, here's a subject, here's a thing, interpret it how you will. And we're going to ask you to report on it. There's a huge rigor component, right? Like you have to deliver, but you have real ownership over something, which teaches you so much, not just about the subject that you're investigating, but about yourself. So you come out of high school feeling like with a sense of self that I think a lot of us in public schools were not. I don't know about private school because I was a public school kid, but you're not given access to, and everything's about achievement and getting into college. And at least in certain schools or certain communities. And my community was very much that. What grades are you getting? And what college are you going to?
Yeah, exactly.
And this is just it's not that. And so listening and learning and then, working with that organization to understand what about their model was succeeding for their students, what needed to be improved, what arguments they could make at the policy level, what they could bring with them into new communities, how all these different insights could kind of touch different aspects of the organization. I think that was just really, that work felt beautiful and significant. And, there are every nonprofit is different, but what we loved about them was that they sort of, I feel like they understood like the brand culture, especially they're trying to build maybe they're not using the word brand, but the story that they're trying to tell across the country feels very brand world-y. So I don't know. That work was so great. And then also the period stuff.
But yeah, the education system needs a lot of reimagining. So that's really cool to be in a space where you're getting to work.
Well, yeah. And their whole argument is like the original Carnegie model was built on time, the concept of time, and cranking students out to like work in factories. And it's like, that's the model that public schools are still employing. It's not catering to, well, first of all, the modern world. And second of all, anyone's
individual
learning exactly, individual learning journey. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So that was great. That was like access to a subject matter also that's an example of like, I don't think we knew we were going to be super passionate about that. And by the end, I mean, listen to me, like, I'm just like, it was most important. Like, it was just so amazing and important.
Yeah.
It is awesome. So amazing and important.
It is so amazing.
Totally.
We were like, can we go to XQ school?
Well, totally. Can I go back?
It's so gorgeous to be able to, and obviously at an organizational level for them to be as invested in research and insight in order to understand and improve, like it's like a strategist wet dream, you know? I guess that's not like the appropriate language, but
really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just felt, I mean, it's that was great. I love that project. I love that work. So.
All righty. What would you say is the biggest challenge you're facing right now?
In a zippy statement, I think we both feel like the change we're all looking for can't come fast enough. There's a lot of need and demand for better work and more cooperation, and gosh, there's so many problems to solve. So I think there are a lot of ambitious, thoughtful leaders and organizations and businesses and things out there that are beating the drum and talking about it, but like, are we getting to where we need to go fast enough? And I think the pace at which we would love to see change happen is
that we need change to happen.
Like
before we all explode.
Yeah.
Or not to have a doomsday mentality about it, but it's like, why is this not being prioritized by everyone who is in the power to do something? Like and I'm not talking about like us. I'm talking about like people in positions of power in the private sector. It's just like this is I don't know.
Because it upsets the status quo and it removes them from their ivory towers.
Now is the time, folks.
Now is the time. And I think that our challenges, like, I don't even know if that's a personal challenge to us. It's just like what we see happening that we wish was different or moving more quickly. You know, we want, and I think we touched on this before, but it's kind of like you want everyone out there who's in the position to take the risk to be taking it, to say what needs to be said, to reorganize what needs to be organized, to do the right thing. And you want it to be happening faster. But I guess that's not how things are.
Are you seeing the trend of, you know, at least larger companies I'm seeing are scaling back on their sustainability budgets, on their DEIB budgets, on CSR, even on marketing? Like how is that affecting y'all and your business?
Well, it's affecting us. Right. I don't think that we wanted to like necessarily discuss like the business, but we're fighting for the work to get done. Like we're fighting for the role of the work, and we're fighting for it to be a priority at all different, you know, the smaller organizations, actually, I feel like even one client that we're working with right now, they're the ones popping up to shift the narrative, right? So they know the work needs to get done. They don't necessarily have the budgets. The big organizations have, well, once upon a time had the budgets, even if maybe they're not prioritizing that work right now. They're the ones with the reach and the scale that you want the work to be done for and with. So it's problematic that they're redirecting resources away from these areas. Not just problematic for us, but problematic for like the change that needs to get
the greater behavioral shift.
It's like why that? Why does that have to be cut? And I'm not a CEO of a massive corporation, so I can't necessarily answer that question. But why now and why that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely affecting us and the kind of work we're doing. We're actually finding, I think, a lot of luck with smaller brands who are like, that institution sucks. We want to change that. And we're like, okay, cool. Let us help you build your brand so that you can say what you need to say out to the world and have the kind of impact that you deserve to have. Yeah. But the resource of a small organization is just not that of a large one.
No shortage of people out there innovating and starting to build solutions, which is gorgeous and something that we're really invested in supporting, because get out there. Like, get out there and let's see if that works, and let's get as much work that works out there. But I think we want to see the big companies stay focused. And I think maybe this year was a little wonky. I think we're kind of looking toward next year, hoping that everyone's going to come back to life and stay focused on purpose.
Just hoping.
Yeah. Let's not lose focus. Is it like everyone's just giving up?
And also because that's depressing.
Sorry. I read this thing yesterday that you should like always bring your dark self to work. Like, don't
hold back.
My authentic self is very emo. Thank you. Oh my God, I love it.
Funny.
Anyway.
All right. Well, on that note, no, really, I so appreciate you both sharing that, because, I think that one of the things that at least Alana and I, through this podcast and through, the conversations that we have and the work that we do separately and together is how can we really pool resources to amplify the good work that these smaller companies are doing to really make a bigger impact.
Yeah.
And, hopefully show the big guns that, you've got some egg on your face and we can help you clean that up, because look at what we've done.
Yeah.
No, really though. It's
Sorry,
like,
I was just laughing at the visual of that.
It's like,
who did you see in that visual?
Or do we approach this
just like my toddler with
that is the real question.
Sorry.
I was imagining Jeff Bezos.
Perfect.
Yes.
I know.
Brilliant.
Oh my God.
No, but
more than just
truly,
okay,
thank you.
No, and I also think the case could be made for more brand work in nonprofit world, right? We want the nonprofits who are out there on the ground doing the work that really, really needs to get done, and doing it so well and with such passion, but not maybe, I don't know if it's the way that the organizations are structured. I don't have the insight into like where how things are being prioritized or not, or the misnomer of the word brand. I think though, if you could hand them the brand tools also.
Well, this is a place where I think narratives are shifting, because I think for a long time it was a little dirty to spend the time and resource on brand building, but actually, like, you need weapons out there in service of your mission and the work that you do, the care that you need to compete for, etc. So I think I'd like to think that organizations are starting to shift their mentality around that and recognizing the need for storytelling to be sharp and strong in order for the actual things being done on the ground to have the support that they need. I think that for a long time it felt like brand was like, ew, don't do that. That's not what we're really here for, because that's not maybe what you're really there for. But the truth
it helps what you're there for.
The truth is, like, you need that muscle to make sure that whatever it is that you're actually trying to achieve has what it needs.
There is a whole conversation about that too, and the Dan Pelota of it all.
Yes, the Dan Pelota.
Donate to nonprofits.
Yeah.
just for their marketing budgets. They want their money to go to the actual work on the ground and all of that. But the thing is when you spend the money on the marketing and your brand voice, that you then can bring in more money to support more programs and all of those things. And so it's like the public perception of that that's hindering it as well. And there's a documentary recently came out about it as well. Yeah. But anyways.
And, of course, nonprofits need to start thinking of themselves as brands. Anyway. All right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Everything is.
Yeah, that's what you're saying. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So you all have brought us an amazing campaign that we want to discuss together. But before we do, we just want to quickly review our criteria for you both and our listeners.
Okay.
So the first thing we always look for is alignment.
Next is partnerships.
Call to action and transparency.
Engagement.
And lastly, optimization and amplification.
So on that note, if I don't know which one of you wants to do this, but if one of you would like to tell us about the campaign you brought today that you found that is doing it well, and give us a quick summary of the creative and their execution for this campaign.
What we're bringing to you guys today is an initiative from REI that's called Opt Outside. And I believe since 2015, they've been closing all stores on Black Friday, which is obviously traditionally a very significant shopping moment. And they're making an executive decision at the highest level to say, let's not be open at this time. Let's not celebrate consumption. Let's celebrate actually letting everyone be outside instead, right? Which has so many implications. But I think we're just really appreciating the action that's being taken, the higher, deeper, values-based choice that they're making to do something and commit to something. And I think build even from there, because I think they've been pretty committed to this for a while. And
they're lobbying also at the policy level to give, I mean, the foundation of this initiative, depending on how you look at it, is that they're trying to give everyone more access to national parks, to green spaces, etc., which just makes it all the more beautiful, right? It's not just something that they're like talking about. They're getting in there and trying to make real change. I mean, change happens at many different levels, as we know, but they're trying to hit, the government with this too. So we just love it. I think moving, first of all, the boldness, and we were actually talking about this earlier because we were chit-chatting about this. I think not every brand has the luxury of closing on Black Friday. Not every company has the luxury of closing on Black Friday. But if you're at the level of REI and your company is not like going under if you close on Black Friday, you can, right? So if we're being realistic, there's also a business decision being made there. But that being said, the values being exemplified through this behavior, through this campaign, I think are beautiful. And it's something that's functioning internally. It's functioning, you're saying something internally to your employees that we value you. You're saying something out to the world about taking care of people. We're going to take care of you by helping you move away from your consumption habits and just going on a bike ride or whatever, And then for all the people who are not even necessarily REI shoppers, doing something for them at like the grassroots, or I keep calling it like government, like policy level, to try to make things better for people who can't even afford to shop at REI, who can't afford to shop at REI, or who wouldn't be, who don't even necessarily know that the work is being done. It's a really, I think a great brand behavior.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting too about the evolution of the Opt Outside campaign is on REI's Opt Outside microsite, part of the campaign being the support the Outdoors for All Act, which is the policy you were talking about. Yeah. And the little image next to it just says Opt Outside isn't as easy as it sounds. And it is funny to think when you live in a privileged space where you can, go to a hiking trail 5 minutes away, that you have trees in your front or backyard, that you have access to nature in an accessible way that not everybody does have that access.
Exactly.
And so I think that it's more than just closing a store and giving their employees a play day off, which is obviously another benefit, but it has so many facets, as you were saying. And so I think that that's definitely really interesting. And it's become a part of their brand in so many ways right now that people talk about it. I think it's like really spread in that other brands have adapted to it as well. And I feel like copied, especially other outdoor brands, but that they set the tone for that. But okay, we might get into this too. But my other thing about this that I think is now just a funny thing is that in 2015, I feel like the Amazon culture of Cyber Monday and everything else wasn't quite the same as it is now. And so I'm almost curious, does it still hold the same meaning as most people, especially post-COVID, do so much shopping online? Does it still have hold that same value in 2023 when people are purchasing probably more online? I don't know what the percentages are, obviously, but purchasing more online versus in person.
Yeah. I feel like the shift or I want to say the evolution from say like 15 to now would be that maybe before it was a little more focused on like anti-consumption. And now I feel like the outdoor industry is really taking on equity and inclusion at like a really high level. So it's like the evolution of this concept, I think is strategically correct, because it's not just about like, don't buy this jacket. It's how do we get everyone outside? Yeah. So I agree. I don't think it has the same potency as it used to have when it was maybe an initial bold action. But I can appreciate that the platform itself has really it's held its ground, and then it's also sort of shape shifted to be a little bit more, I would say, relevant and ambitious about what to do then with the time outside and who has access to that and how do we ensure that that's something that more and more and more people have. I think REI, I think we all know Patagonia is kicking ass. I think that we admire this coalition that's formed recently called Opening Up the Outdoors. It just feels like they're doing a great job of not just ensuring that people value nature, but that everyone has access to nature and benefits. So I hear you though. I don't know that the closing your doors has as much pow as it did maybe even 5 years ago. But it's cool to see them taking the platform and just continuing 100% to deepen what it's made for.
That's what a good platform does.
Yeah.
It
totally, it evolves.
It evolves with culture, and it starts as one thing and it doesn't have to stay that thing. That's what we're always telling people. Clients.
And I guess to that note too, I wonder, and I don't know if either of you know this, how if they push the equity platform and the opt-outside platform all year long, or if it solely becomes something that's really spoken about only on Black Friday.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have to believe that it's working beyond that day. It better be. Yeah, I imagine that's something that they're pushing all year round.
Yeah, I think the lobbying and the policy activity is something that they're working on year round. At the communications level, I'm not sure. I don't see, just at the personal level, it's not like I'm seeing it all over their comms that I'm receiving because I'm on their comms.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I agree. It should be.
We'll look into it and follow up with you.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at their social media, right? Just glancing down at Instagram real quick. It's, for Giving Tuesday, help support a more equitable outdoors for everyone. Donate to the REI Cooperative Action Fund to support organizations like Black Outside Inc. and Thriver Line. Donated the link in bio. And it looks like Thriver Line is a Tennessee River Line organization, and that Black Outside has one mission to reconnect Black youth to the outdoors.
I know about Black Outside.
Yeah.
I think giving people opportunities to give back is brilliant and is one way. I think also communications and creative is another way. I'm not like watching, I don't know necessarily a lot of the creative that comes out of REI, but we have a former colleague who started an outdoor leisure brand mostly focused on the Black community, because she realized during COVID that everything that she saw that had to do with the outdoors was like blonde, like very Australian white people vibes. So I think that those kinds of partnerships and that building those kinds of stories, like, this is the same conversation that we're having before. Small brands are popping up to shape a new narrative, and I think REI's doing it in some ways, and you want them to keep doing it and doing it at scale so that people see themselves. If you can see yourself in something, you can go do and be that thing. Right. So you want people seeing themselves in the stories as well, and the creative that's coming out of them.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're not doing that. I'm just saying I think it helps the mission, helps the cause, and helps the platform.
Absolutely. Spot on. So obviously the first one we talked about was alignment. Is your impact aligned with your brand values and goals? And it seems like REI kind of knocked this out of the park in terms of how they're building this platform, organizations that they're supporting publicly, and how they're treating their employees as well.
Yeah. I think the answer is yes.
Yes. Check.
Yes.
Talent influencer partnership. They're not the ones that did the Patagonia sponsorship that we were talking about over the summer stuff, were they? Who was that with?
That was North Face.
Oh yeah, that was North Face, because North Face was Patagonia. We thought that was funny. Okay, sorry, just kidding. But
I think the outdoor industry is really taking on they're like in the ripest place to be deeply impactful. And I feel like it was very conservation oriented, which is correct, and sustainability driven, circularity, etc. Cool. And then it's like the humanity of it, and like the sort of way of opening up to incorporate, I think, what is like most beautiful inclusion at the highest level. Feels like they're like in the perfect place to make to be an access point for having those stories being told. I feel like North Face, Patagonia, REI, these guys are all leaders in this space, which is beautiful. And then again, this coalition called Opening Up the Outdoors, it's like, and they're working together to support this work and these initiatives. They're not being deeply competitive about it, which I think is super cool.
That's the dream. Everyone's
It's so important. There needs to be that collaboration, because to your point earlier about smaller companies versus large companies and being able to have a larger cultural impact, you need these coalitions to bring together all of these companies to work for a path forward instead of competing against each other on something that they all truly do believe in.
Same team vibes.
Yep.
I can't think of another industry that has almost that like clarity and, I would say, collaboration that's as like, I don't know, it's almost like they're in such a sweet spot and they're doing it, so it's pretty cool to see.
Well, they're fashion, but they don't have any like sort of goals.
Fashion's brutal.
They're not doing anything, but they're all really having fun with each other.
Well, I'd say another interesting collaboration recently that I had seen, Steph and I were talking about, brings back to the periods, was a bunch of the period product companies came together to counteract the pink tax and were refunding money.
Yes, that's a great example.
And I heard I think it was the August founder on a podcast talking about how she was totally down to do this with all these other companies that are now competitors in this marketplace, because it doesn't matter, because this is a universal problem. And so the importance of them all coming together to really push that message forward.
Yeah. It's a great example.
What about the nonprofit partnership here? I know we talked about Opening Up the Outdoors Coalition, which is a tremendous initiative. Was there another nonprofit partnership, or it seems like not particularly at this time, like for for this particular campaign. Obviously, we saw on Giving Tuesday, they, help promote 2 different organizations.
Yeah, I think it's mostly the Outdoors for All Act. Like that's where they're trying to channel people's focus and investment, right? Or like ask people to take action. I'm not seeing any third parties really.
Yeah. Which is, that's impact here, right? Like that is
and the policy part's not the sexy part. So it's important. Someone's got to do it, right?
Exactly.
Someone's got to do it.
Yeah, so I don't think so. Not at least not at this level of communication, but sort of like you said, I think in different areas of the business, they're developing partnerships that exemplify the values of the platform.
And there's also the Cooperative Action Network, which I think is interesting because that's also, while the Outdoor Act is the primary focus, they have, if you've already signed the Outdoors for All Act, there's a bunch of other policies that you can get your signature on as well. So the fact that they're encouraging people to take action across climate, across outdoor equity, across, protecting and stewarding the land in different places, I think is also a very cool act that, again, a lot of these other outdoor companies are doing as well. But
call to action, check.
We love a good call to action.
We do.
Yeah, but that one was definitely 100% clear to opt outside. It could get clearer than that. I would say, on the same note, and following up with the nonprofit partnerships, I don't think that this is a campaign. Sometimes we look at the donation and monetary investment if there is none. And I don't think that's necessarily something that's public facing in the sense of this campaign. But I think there's clear value alignment where they are doing the back end work and really trying to shift culture in a bigger way that almost overrides writing a check.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. I think they're doing a lot. Like this to me, this platform, this idea, or this campaign, whatever we want to call it, has big goals and is touching on a lot of different areas of culture and impact, if we want to call it that.
Yeah. And as we said, long term, and continues to evolve and grow, which is huge.
Yes. Agree.
And then I know we sort of talked about this a little bit, but the employee engagement piece of this, I love that was one of the first things that y'all pointed out here, because so often that's missing.
Yeah.
And here it's pretty blatant and showing that solidarity and support for their employees.
And it's so smart because your people are your most intimate advocates, So to sort of, I don't know, to give everyone that time and that power and that opportunity to sort of advocate on behalf of the issue is so badass.
Plus, I think that people at REI really do love the outdoors.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, they do.
So they're like, hell yeah, I'm going to have a great day.
Yeah.
And I'm psyched that they get to do that.
Yeah.
Totally. And get paid.
And get paid. Yeah.
Get paid.
Because that's also the part that's so important, right? Yeah. Yes, everybody loves a day off, but if you're not getting paid, it feels a little wonky. But to be able to have that holiday where
I don't think this would work. I don't think any of us would be excited about this if we were like, you get the day off, but we're not paying you.
Totally.
To this conversation, I think.
Yeah. And obviously we talked about the customer and community engagement piece.
Yeah.
Cross promotion is interesting in the sense that, other than working with these other outdoor companies, it would be interesting in a way, and maybe this is a missed opportunity for it to cross outside of solely outdoor focused brands, and for them to involve other, like, what if fast fashion shut down for the day? What would that be like, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Great point.
If it could, now that it's been around, in 2 years, that'll be 10 years, right? So how do you get that message to push so far that maybe it's not that Black Friday goes away entirely because it'll just move to another day, let's be honest, like Prime Day is a week now, but that it's so insane. Yeah. But that if you had cross-industry partnerships to really push for people to go outside and or even schools supporting it or workplaces supporting it or something where it was, not just one day a year, but also integrated throughout the year and across. It'd be really interesting.
I love that idea.
Me too.
Yeah,
I think that they should get more people involved in the coalition.
Yeah.
People meaning organizations or both public and private,
Yeah.
I love the idea of getting school districts involved. I think it could absolutely and should absolutely grow.
What if even opt outside day was a thing across schools? No, I'm going to totally make some shit up, but also this could be really cool. I just think about this too, because my daughter's preschool, they're outside so much, right? And there's so much value to outside. And I know so many schools have crap outdoor space. So that's also a whole other thing that the outdoor industry maybe can tackle and try to help schools with green space.
Right.
But if there was another day that had nothing to do with Black Friday that was still utilizing the opt outside, where classes were literally taught outside. And maybe it's a rotating thing because you can't have every class outside on the same day, but that at least for a day, there's countries that all year long teach their kids outside.
Yeah.
And during COVID, there were colleges that were teaching their classes outside. Like the value of being outside under trees and the magic of that for learning could be a really interesting experience.
Yeah, I think that the challenge there is what you said, which is that there are so many students in this country that do not have access to wonderful outdoor spaces where they can be taught. So I think that would be a very worthwhile undertaking, but massive. Because
this is why we need all these other partners to get involved.
Right. That's why you need other people involved in the coalition. You need the National Parks Foundation involved. You need, there's a lot of partners that you would need, but I love that idea.
Yeah.
Bring in XQ Institute. Let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah. But even Junior League, like one of Junior League's projects this year in LA was all around different beautification projects at schools and bringing in green space to some of these underserved schools. So I think it's finding what those right partners are, and everyone gets to sponsor one little piece of land, right? But the long-term benefit of that across the youth of America could be huge.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And fast fashion should pay for it.
Yeah.
100%.
Fashion industry should pay for it.
Yeah.
Fast fashion.
It's like their tax.
Fast food. Take the fast money and get everyone to opt outside.
It doesn't even need to be just fast. Yes, fast, but like caring, LVMH, like these massive fashion conglomerates that are doing so much. Like, here's your carbon offsets. Here you go.
Right. Yeah. Right.
That's what we need.
Yes.
This is the innovation. A carbon offset program that is not actually where they're like planting the forest that everyone's paying for the same forest to be planted. It's that in your carbon offset program, everyone sponsors a specific school, neighborhood, whatever. And you're responsible for greening that area to make it, more alive and nature focused and all of those elements.
Is greening a word? It should be. No, I like it. I like it. It should be a word. I like this idea.
I appreciate it. So when should we start our company?
It's like you're responsible. Yeah. I mean, that is the kind of responsibility that organizations like that should be taking on. And they think that they are through the small initiatives that they do. And, some of them are doing bigger things and some of them are doing smaller things, but there's a lot more work to be done. And it doesn't have to only be REI who's doing it.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, I think you just nailed our opportunity for greater impact. It's not a missed opportunity. It is a missed opportunity, but it is also an opportunity for
a growth opportunity.
Yeah. And all the puns.
Yes. Well, thank you, Shawn and Sarah, so much for joining us today. We loved having you on. Yes. Where can folks learn more about you and your work?
ShawnandSarah.world.
Boom.
Love it.
Easy peasy. We'll link it in the show notes as well.
Cool. This was so
nice
great.
Hanging out and chatting.
Guys are such
Thank
brainiacs.
you, guys. So thank you both for helping us shine a light and learn from those who are doing it well and reduce the missed opportunities for good.
We want to hear from you. Let us know. What campaigns are you seeing that are doing it well? Who would you like to see us interview? And what campaigns would you like us to audit?
Thank you so much for joining us on our mission to revolutionize the industry that we love.
Missed Opportunities for Good is a production of Aligned for Impact and Love of Good.
And now we out.